we are on the daily antidote of song. I'm happy to see everybody coming in the waiting room now. We've got our guest today, Dr. Kim Harris, who I'm really excited about, and my friends Dick and Kathy in Victoria, BC. And we've got Deli and Aloysius and Cheryl and Deborah and Susan, and a couple of people connecting to audio. And there's another person connecting to audio. We got Brian McLaughlin coming in and finishing his breakfast, and we got Julie Alexander and Sheila from Florida and Bonnie. Nice to see you again. And there's my friend Carolyn that I got to know through the magic of Zoom all the way from Idaho. And Jamie Dundas in Victoria, BC, and Ralph in Victoria. Hello, Ralph. And Ruth and Mary in a pub. Whoa, I'm not in a pub. I just got my tea in front of me. And we got Lynn and Cliff in Vermont, and Mabel in Massachusetts, and Nancy with her cow, and Annette Pirone, and Steve and Michelle, and Fred in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I don't know if I can make this high C, but I'll try. And there's Hoda in BC, and Storm. Nice to see you, Storm, and Gary Pausner, and Susan Miller, and Christiana, and Bob in Maryland. I think that's what MD stands for. Curly Tops. I don't know who Curly Tops is, but you're welcome here. And Gary Pausner, Julie, and a bunch of other people in who don't have their cameras on, but that's just fine. We've got Julie and Becky and Joni and LMG and Bob and Gary and Carol and Kathy and Kate and somebody on their iPad. And let's all say hello to each other. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, it's a powerful day in the world today, and I don't want to let that go by without just mentioning it. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of an elephant in the room. I'm sure you've all been have a feeling of what's going on in Europe right now. It's not a healthy thing that's going on over there. But this is our time just to be here with each other and to just have a little bit of time with some music. I want to say hello to Jo, who's somewhere out there listening live. She couldn't be here this morning, but I am here. My name is Denis Donnelly. I'm from the Ubuntu Choirs Network, and I live in Victoria, BC, Canada, and have a large choir here called Wavelengths Community Choir, and we do a lot of stuff. Although we haven't been doing much in person recently, but we're going to hopefully get back up to doing that in the fall. How many of you people that I'm looking at on the screen here are actually singing as a regular practice in a choir or something like that? Great, great. Isn't it a wonderful way to be able to just keep yourself grounded and be with people and be with thoughts and feelings that are so deep with humanity. Humanity has been singing together for thousands and thousands and millions of years. That's the way we bind together. That's the way we express our humanity. That's the way we deal with our emotions. That's the way we go forward. That's the way we are grounded in this world. And that's just a wonderful thing. And speaking of which, I just wanted to say that we have somebody who does a lot of that in her life, and she's a guest today, Dr. Kim Harris. So please welcome Dr. Kim Harris.
So good morning, everyone, and well, good morning to some, good afternoon, and perhaps
Yes.
good evening, depending on where you are. Very good to get a chance to be with you, and especially as these days continue with wars, as they say biblically, wars and rumors of wars and all of that happening around the world. The song that we're going to sing today has been definitely in my spirit. this song, and we'll get singing right away. This song comes from the singing of the enslaved and free African American community, and I'm thinking of the Black Civil War soldiers who were fighting for their own freedom. And yet they said, I'm going to study war no more. And this version of the song is, I think it's a bit of an older one than some of the versions that we all have heard since the 1960s. But just sing it right along with me. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my burden down. Down by the riverside, gonna lay my burden down. Down by the riverside, gonna lay my burden down and study war no more. Sing that with me now. Down by the riverside, gonna lay my burden down, lay it down now. Down by the riverside, gonna lay my burden down. Down by the riverside, gonna lay my burden down and study war no more. Oh, down by the riverside, gonna put on my long white robe. Down by the riverside, gonna put on my long white robe. Down by the riverside, gonna put on my long white robe and study war no more. Oh, 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 down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield, lay it down now. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down my sword and shield. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down the sword and shield. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Oh, down by the riverside, gonna walk in the ways of peace. Walk with me now. Down by the riverside, gonna walk in the ways of peace. Down by the riverside, gonna walk in the ways of peace. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more. No more. No more.
Oh, Kim, that was beautiful. That was just what I needed this morning. Just what I needed. Tell us something about that song. Where did it come from, Kim?
Well, it's one of the historic Negro spirituals,
Yeah.
and for sure sung by the Black Civil War soldiers. And when you think about that group of people, they had to struggle to even be allowed to be in that war. They had to struggle because they were fighting for their own freedom, their defense of their own people. And they were black Catholics, they were black Protestants, some had Islam as their tradition. Some didn't have a religious tradition in particular. Some would have also had the African traditions that they brought with them, and they sang many songs, and many of those songs actually, if you have seen that book, I know I've talked about it before here, Slave Songs of the United States, that first large collection of spirituals. Many of the songs were collected from the singing of the Black Civil War soldiers. And so that's where that song comes from. And of course, people have used that song through many movements for peace as we've gone along through the years. Looking online today, the Pete Seeger would sing, down by the riverside, I'm going to lay down the atom bomb. And, just even listening on the news this morning about Putin talking about nuclear weapons, and I mean, talk about frightening. The idea that all of those weapons that several countries have, and I think North Korea shot off some missiles this morning. To think about all of those, and the fact that there could be some kind of way that they would be used, and that doesn't even make any sense that they would use those types of weapons, because as close as Ukraine is to Russia, geographically, we use that, and we poison ourselves and our neighbors, we poison our friends and our enemies, and we poison the earth. And of course, Chernobyl is right there, and I know they have captured that area right around Chernobyl, which I didn't realize is still active. I know they've been working on trying to get it all shut down, but it is not all shut down yet. So this is just a dangerous time in so many ways. So many ways. So, thinking about good old Pete, yes, he would say, down by the riverside, going to lay down the atom bomb. Yes.
Yeah, I I was shocked this morning when I saw that thing about what Putin had said. And of course, talking about fighting for freedom, that African Americans were involved in where that song came from. And of course, the freedom of the country of the Ukraine is at stake as well. So, very appropriate song this morning. I was a little chill in my heart this morning because I was taken back to when the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. I was in high school at the time, and I remember feeling that same chill. I don't think it's going to go to that this time, of course, because of all the reasons you said. But just the fact that he mentioned that is is enough to put a little bit of a reality check on our lives, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely so.
Yeah, yeah. Kim, I'd like to hear. It would be a balm for me just to sing a little bit more of that song again. Is there anything else that you've got coming up that you'd like to just mention before we get into that a bit of that song again?
Yes, well, actually, on Friday, I'm going to be with a group of people that are having a very interesting conversation. Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka is going to be having a conversation with Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr. And that will be happening right here at Loyola Marymount University, the school where I'm a professor. And it's a global conversation, and I'm sure they're going to be speaking about many things together. Wole Soyinka he's actually been a part of the LMU community for many years. And Henry Louis Gates, I watch his programs and show them to my students. Finding Your Roots, that's one of my favorite programs on PBS, and also The Black Church, This Is Our Story, This Is Our Song, is one that I have been showing to my students a fair amount recently. And so, like I said, they're not going to stream that live, but it is going to be recorded. So next time I come, I'm sure I'll have a link for the recording of that conversation. And I'll be singing some spirituals as a part of that program. And they've been asking me, what are you going to sing? And I've been thinking about it. And I'm sure that Down by the Riverside is going to be one that I'll sing. I'll probably sing Over My Head. So I'll be a part of that program. And we'll also have some Nigerian drummers. And so, I'm looking forward to that gathering, a gathering of people. I'm trying to think of what else is coming up. I know that when we get to right before Easter on Good Friday, I'll be singing at St. Patrick's Cathedral. They have many services, as you can imagine, during the day on Good Friday. And they have a service that goes from noon until 3 o'clock. And for that service, I'll be singing Were You There When They Crucified My Lord? Somewhere around 2:15 or so, I'll be singing that. And this is the first year I've been back doing that since COVID, but they just asked me to sing it just a cappella, standing there in the middle of St. Patrick's Cathedral. So
Beautiful.
I will look forward to that.
Beautiful. All
And
right.
besides that, it's spring break now, and so I'll just be grading papers and trying to catch up on many things.
Okay. Why don't you give us a little bit more of Down by the Riverside, Kim?
I will. And I know sometimes people say, well, where does that come from? So the biblical reference of that comes from Hebrew Scriptures, First Testament, some call it Old Testament. In our theological studies department, we talk about Hebrew Scriptures, and it is from the biblical book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. And it says, He shall judge between nations and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. Lay down my sword and shield. Here we go. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down my sword and shield. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down my sword and shield. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down my sword and shield, and study war no more. Gonna lay down the atom bomb. Oh, down by the riverside, gonna lay down the atom bomb. Oh, sing with us, Pete, yes. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down the atom bomb. Lay it down now. Down by the riverside, gonna lay down the atom bomb. And ain't gonna study war no more. I 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 ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more. I see y'all. Some of y'all want to clap along. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Oh, what a blessing. Thank you, Dr. Kim Harris. Thank you so much for being here today, for leading us and reminding us of some important things.
Yes. Well, I'm going to head off to a church service where I'll be singing the very same song. One of them I'll be singing. And I'll invite everybody, connect with, connect with the divine in any way you call it, connect with something larger than yourself, connect with, as you do, this incredible community that we all have together. And let's just keep on praying and hoping and yearning and working and marching for peace.
Amen. Amen.
Okay.
Say goodbye to Dr. Kim Harris, everybody. So this is the last day of Carpe Diem Arts Week. Join us next week for Women's History Celebration. A whole week of songs and thoughts about that. So it's time for me to say goodbye to everybody, and special goodbye to Joe, who is looking in somewhere out there in cyberspace, and thanks so much to Aaron for the tech this morning. Thank you, Aaron. And thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks to Dick and Kathy. Goodbye. Hope you all have a good day. Bronwyn and Deli and Aloysius and Deborah and Susan, Amanda and Miles, Ruth and Mary in a pub. Wish I was in a pub.